With clouds he's coming. Behold, he is coming to judge the earth. Behold, he's coming. With power he's coming. The whole earth is filled with the glory of Yah. And every eye will see him, even those who pierced him. They're weeping and they're mourning on that day. Heaven's door is open, and the mountains melt before him. The people see his glory on that day. Behold, he is coming in a flash of lightning. The earth sees and trembles in fear. The sun is ashamed, and the moon is disgraced, as his lightnings they light up the world. And who will not fear, bow and revere the King of all kings and our Lord? Behold, he is coming. With clouds he is coming. Behold, he is coming to judge the earth. Behold, he is coming. With power he's coming. Behold, he is coming to rule the world. And everything that's haughty towers proud and lofty. The arrogance of man will be made low, and all who trust in idols will be put to shame. They will not stand before him on that day. Behold, he's coming. On a white horse he's riding. He's leading the armies to war. Though they assemble, take counsel against him, he strikes them all down with his sword. Their idols he smashes, and their weapons he dashes. Their pride and their power are no more. The one on the white horse is faithful and true. His name was written, but nobody knew. With justice he judges and wages war. Out of his mouth comes a flaming sword. He's dressed in a robe that's dipped in blood. He treads on the winepress, the fury of Yah. Behold, he is coming. With fire he's coming to purify the sons and cleanse the earth. His eyes are on fire with burning desire. He's come to redeem and claim his own. bride is made herself ready. The wedding feast has come. Behold, he is coming. Salvation is coming. This is the one we've waited for. Behold, he is coming. With power he's coming. The whole earth is filled with the glory of Yah. Oh, behold, he's coming. With fire he's coming. To purify the sons and cleanse the earth. Know how our hearts are longing for that day when we hear the angel say no more delay. Oh, how our hearts are longing for that day when we hear the angel say no more delay.
All right. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Glad to see everybody here. Excuse me. So, Shabbat Shalom. Hey, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Jeremy, and everyone here.
Lisa, Kayleen, Greg, Jacob.
Back at you. Shabbat Shalom.
Hey, Shabbat Shalom, Dwayne. We got everybody here. Almost everybody. Jackie, Cheyenne, Natalie, Kelly. Everybody, Shabbat Shalom. So, we got a really good one today. We're going to be doing Torah portions, and it's Genesis 25:19 through 28:9. And we're going to follow that up with Jubilees 24 through 27. And then afterwards, we're going to get into a bit, actually a lot of it, about how Yahusha is not only from David, he's also from Aharon as well. And we're going to be proving this out through the scriptures and the Dead Sea Scrolls. So I'm pretty excited about that. So before we begin, let me go ahead and say a prayer. And we'll jump right into it. Father Abba Yahuah, we come to you in Palau for your guidance and your barakoth as we read and study through your word. Help us to renew our hearts and our minds, to mold ourselves to better follow you and your ways, and to help us to open our eyes and ears to what your word says. And we thank you for your Kodesh, Shabbat, and this fellowship. And please be with us each day, especially for those of us who are struggling through trials and tribulations or sicknesses, no matter what it may be. Please help us to have the strength to be able to endure to the end. And I ask this in the name of Yahusha HaMashiach, and let it be so. All right, so let's begin with the Torah portions here and get it up on screen. And so we're going to be starting here in Genesis 25, verse 19. And I can share this link in chat for those in chat that want to follow along, or you can use your own scripture version as well. But here's that for what we're going to read, and I will share the Jubilees link as well. Hey, Andrea, Shabbat Shalom. No worries, you're just in time. Perfect timing. Yahuah's timing. All right. So, Genesis 25, and then, Sumi, did you want to read the next chapter after that? And then, Brandon?
We're reading.
Awesome. All right, so let's begin. Genesis chapter 25 and verse 19. And this is the genealogy of Yitzhak, Abraham's son. Abraham brought forth Yitzhak, and Yitzhak was 40 years old when he took Rivkah as his wife, the daughters of Bethuel, the Armenian, of Padan Aram, the sister of Laban, the Aramean. Sorry. And Yitzhak prayed to Yahuah for his wife, because she was barren. And Yahuah answered his prayer, and Rivkah, his wife, conceived. And within her the children struggled together, and she said, If it is right, why am I this way? So she went to ask Yahuah. So she was going to him in prayer and palau, taking it to Yahuah to find out what's going on. And Yahuah said to her, 2 nations are in your womb, and 2 people shall be separated from your body, and 1 people shall be stronger than the other, and the older serve the younger. And when the days were filled for her to give birth, see, twins were in her womb. And the first came out reddish all over, like a hairy garment, so they called his name Esau. And afterward his brother came out, with his hand holding on to Esau's heel. So his name was called Jacob, and Yitzhak was 60 years old when she bore them. And the boys grew up, and Esau became a man, knowing how to hunt, a man of the field, while Jacob was a complete man, dwelling in tents. And Yitzhak loved Esau, because he ate of his wild game, but Rivkah loved Jacob. And Jacob cooked the stew, and Esau came in from the field, and he was weary. And Esau said to Jacob, Please feed me with that same red stew, for I am weary. That is why his name was called Edom. But Jacob said, Sell me your birthright today. And Esau said, Look, I am going to die, so why should I have the birthright? So he's tossing away his birthright. And, this also goes with the birthright in the Ruach, the firstborn in the Ruach. This is what he's given away, as well as his physical one. All for a bowl of stew. It just shows that he did not care for Yahuah or his birthright. But it also shows that prophecy that we read about earlier, it's being fulfilled right here. All right, let me continue. And then Jacob said, Swear to me today. And he swore to him, and sold his birthright to Jacob. Jacob then gave Esau bread and stew of the lentils, and he ate and drank, and rose up and left. And thus Esau despised his birthright. So he's not only despising his birthright, but Yahuah, who gave him that birthright. Because he didn't believe in Yahuah, so to him it was like a birthright. Like, I'm going to die anyway, not believing in an afterlife. Wow, yeah. Exactly. Not putting any belief or faith in the Yahuah or the afterlife even. Like, he didn't even care. Wow. Interesting. And yeah, if anything sticks out to anybody, feel free to jump on in.
Yeah, I've got a question, Jeremy, if you don't mind me
Yeah,
asking.
yeah, go right ahead.
Esau was a man of the fields, hunter, but it says that Jacob was perfect and dwelt in tents. You know what that might mean, dwelling in tents?
I think just like who is it that dwelt in tents? There was someone else that was dwelling in tents too, and I think it just shows he was a man of the earth, like what Yahuah provides, and he was relying on Yahuah to take care of him. And the dwelling in tents just shows, he was willing to travel, but he also lived with his parents. So maybe he went out there just to, sometimes like we do today, we have like shelters or something we've built out in the wilderness, and we kind of go out there for a little bit. Maybe that's what's going on.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Sorry, I was just reading chat as well. Yeah, hey, Sumi, if you want to read next, chapter 26 here, Genesis.
All right, Brandon's going first.
Awesome. And Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Brandon.
Shabbat Shalom, brother. It's chapter 26. It says, and there was a scarcity of food in the land, besides the first scarcity of food, which was in the days of Abraham. And Yitzhak went to Abimelech, sovereign of the Pelethites, in Gerar, and Yahuah appeared to him and said, do not go down to Mitzrayim, live in the land which I command you. Sojourn in this land, and I shall be with you and barak you, for I give all these lands to you and your seed, and I shall establish the oath which I swore to Abraham your father. And I shall increase your seed like the stars of the Shamaim, and I shall give all these lands to your seed, and in your seed all the nations of the earth shall be Baruch. Because Abraham obeyed my voice and guarded my charge, my commands, my laws, and my Torah. And Yitzhak dwelt in Gerar, and when the men of the place asked about his wife, he said, she is my sister. For he was afraid to say, she is my wife, lest the men of the place should kill me for Rivkah, because she is good looking. And it came to be when he had been there a long time that Abimelech, sovereign of the Pelethites, looked through a window, and he watched and saw Yitzhak playing with Rivkah, his wife. So Abimelech called Yitzhak and said, see, truly she is your wife. So how could you say, she is my sister? And Yitzhak said to him, because I said, lest I die on account of her. And Abimelech said, what is this you have done to us? One of the people had almost lain with your wife, and you would have brought guilt on us. And Abimelech commanded all his people, saying, he who touches this man or his wife shall certainly be put to death. And Yitzhak sowed in that land, and reaped in the same year 100-fold, and Yahuah barak him. And the man grew great, and went forward until he became very great. And he came to have possessions of flocks and possessions of herds, and a great body of servants, and the Pelethites envied him. And the Pelethites had stopped up all the wells which his father's servants had dug in the days of Abraham his father, and filled them with dirt. And Abimelech said to Yitzhak, go away from us, for you are much mightier than we. So Yitzhak went from there and pitched his tent in the Wadi Gerar, and dwelt there. And Yitzhak dug again the wells of water which they had dug in the days of Abraham his father, for the Pelethites had stopped them up after the death of Abraham. And he called them by names which his father had called them. But when Yitzhak's servants dug in the wadi and found a well of running water there, the herdsmen of Gerar strove with Yitzhak's herdsmen, saying, the water is ours. And he called the name of the well Esek, because they strove with him. And they dug another well, and they strove over that one too, and he called its name Sitnah. And he moved from there and dug another well, and they did not strive over it, and he called its name Rehoboth, and said, For now Yahuah has made room for us, and he shall bear fruit in the land. And from there he went up to Beersheba. And Yahuah appeared to him in the same night and said, I am Elohim of your father Abraham. Do not fear, for I am with you, and shall barak you and increase your seed for my servant Abraham's sake. And he built an altar there and called the name of Yahuah, and he pitched his tent there, and the servants of Yitzhak dug a well there. And Abimelech came to him from Gerar with Ahuth, one of his friends, and Pickle, the commander of his army. And Yitzhak said to them, Why have you come to me, seeing you have hated me and have sent me away from you? But they said, We have clearly seen that Yahuah is with you. And we said, Please, let there be an oath between us, between you and us, and let us make a covenant with you, that you do no evil to us, as we have not touched you, and as we have done only good toward you, and have sent you away in peace. You are now Baruch by Yahuah. And he made them a feast, and they ate and drank. And they rose early in the morning and swore an oath with one another, and Yitzhak let them go, and they departed from him in peace. On the same day it came to be that the servants of Yitzhak came and informed him about the well which they had dug, and they said to him, We have found water. So he called it Sheba. Therefore the name of the city is Beersheba to this day. And when Esau was 40 years old, he took as wives Yehudith, the daughter of the Beerothite, or the Beeri, the Hittite, and Basemath, the daughter of Elian, the Hittite, and they were a bitterness of spirit to Yitzhak and Rivkah.
Thank you, brother.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Pickle there. No.
He's funny.
Yeah, Pickle, how do you say that?
Yeah. No, it's funny because I laugh too. But yeah, no, so we see Yitzhak here was doing had the same run-in with the Mitzrites as his father Abraham did the same thing. And that same kind of story there. But it also went into more about, building an altar and pitched his tent there. And all about the pitching the tents to Yahuah. That's what the whole tabernacle was in the wilderness as well. Really good stuff. All right. So, Sumi, did you want to read chapter 27?
Yep. There's my echo.
Turn your volume up now.
And it came to be, when Yitzhak was old and his eyes were too dim to see, that he called Esau his elder son and said to him, My son. And he answered him, Here I am. And he said, See now, I am old. I do not know the day of my death. Now then, please take your weapons, your quiver and your bow, and go out to the field and hunt wild game for me. And make me a tasty dish, such as I love, and bring it to me to eat, in order that my being may barak you before I die. And Rivkah heard when Yitzhak spoke to Esau his son, and Esau went to the field to hunt wild game to bring it. And Rivkah spoke to Yaakov her son, saying, See, I heard your father speak to Esau your brother, saying, Bring me wild game and make me a tasty dish to eat, and barak you in the presence of Yahuah before my death. And now, my son, listen to my voice according to what I command you. Please go to the flock and bring me 2 choice young goats, and I make a tasty dish from them for your father, such as he loves. And you shall take it to your father, and he shall eat it, so that he might barak you before his death. And Yaakov said to Rivkah, his mother, Esau, My brother is a hairy man, and I am a smooth-skinned man. What if my father touches me? Then I shall be like a deceiver in his eyes, and shall bring a curse on myself, and not a barakah. But his mother said to him, Let your curse be on me, my son. Only obey my voice, and go get them for me. And he went and fetched them and brought them to his mother. And his mother made a tasty dish, such as his father loved. And Rivkah took the best garments of her elder son Esau, which were with her in the house, and put them on Yaakov, her younger son. And she put the skins of the young goats on his hands, and on the smooth part of his neck. Then she gave the tasty dish and the bread, which she had prepared, into the hand of her son Yaakov. And he went to his father and said, My father. And he said, Here I am. Who are you, my son? My son? And Yaakov said to his father, I am Esau, your firstborn. I've done as you said to me. Please rise, sit and eat of my wild game, so that your being might barak me. But Yitzhak said to his son, How is it that you have found it so quickly, my son? And he said, Because Yahuah your Elohim brought it to me. Then Yitzhak said to Yaakov, Please come near, so that I feel you, my son, whether you truly are my son Esau or not. And Yaakov went near to Yitzhak his father, and he felt him and said, The voice is the voice of Yaakov, but the hands are the hands of Esau. And he did not recognize him, for his hands were hairy like his brother Esau's hands. And he brought him, and he said, Are you truly my son Esau? And he said, I am. And he said, Bring it near to me, and let me eat of my son's wild game, so that my being might barak you. So he brought it near to him, and he ate, and he brought him wine, and he drank. And his father Yitzhak said to him, Please come near and kiss me, my son. And he came near and kissed him, and he smelled the smell of his garments, and barak him, and said, See, the smell of my son is like the smell of a field with Yahuah, which Yahuah has brought. And Elohim give you of the dew of the Shamayim, of the fatness of the earth, and plenty of grain and wine. Let peoples serve you, and nations bow down to you. Be master over your brothers, and let your mother's son bow down to you. Cursed be those cursing you, and Baruch be those barakah you. And it came to be, as soon as Yitzhak had finished barakah Yaakov, and Yaakov had hardly left the presence of Yitzhak his father, that Esau his brother came in from his hunting. And he too made a tasty dish, and brought it to his father, and said to his father, Let my father rise and eat of his son's wild game, so that your being might barak me. And his father Yitzhak said to him, Who are you? And he said, I am your son, your firstborn, Esau. Then Yitzhak shuddered with exceeding great trembling, and said, Who was it then who hunted wild game and brought it to me? And I ate all of it before you came, and I have barak him. Even so he is Baruch. When Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with an exceeding great and bitter cry, and said to his father, Barak me too, O my father. And he said, Your brother came with deceit and took your barakah. And Esau said, Was his name then called Yaakov? For he has caught me by the heel these 2 times. He took my birthright, and see, now he has taken my barakah. And he said, Have you not reserved a barakah for me? Then Yitzhak answered and said to Esau, See, I have made him your master, and all his brothers I have given to him as servants. And I have sustained him with great grain and wine. And what then shall I do for you, my son? And Esau said to his father, Have you only one barakah, my father? Barakah me too, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Yitzhak his father answered and said to him, See, your dwelling is of the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of the Shamayim from above. And by your sword you are to live, and serve your brother. And it shall be, when you grow restless, that you shall break his yoke from your neck. And Esau hated Yaakov, because of the barakah with which his father brought him. And Esau said in his heart, The days of mourning for my father drew near. Then I am going to kill my brother Yaakov. And the words of Esau, her older son, were reported to Rivkah. And she sent and called Yaakov, her younger son, and said to him, See, your brother Esau comforts himself concerning you to kill you. And now, my son, listen to my voice, and rise, flee to my brother Laban in Haran, and stay with him a few days, until your brother's wrath turns away, until your brother's displeasure turns away from you, and he forgets what you have done to him. And I shall send and bring you from there. Why should I be bereaved of you both in one day? And Rivkah said to Yitzhak, I am disgusted with my life because of the daughters of Heth. If Yaakov takes a wife from the daughters of Heth, like these who are the daughters of the land, what is my life to me? There's a lot in that one.
Yeah, that pretty deep stuff, honestly. And so we see, the birthright and all that was already prophesied before, that it was going to go to Jacob and not Esau. But, Rikva talked Jacob into, being deceptive to his father. And it was to gain that actual blessing as well that's passed down to the firstborn. And it was all done for Yahuwah's will to be done, because we see from Jacob, that's where all the 12 tribes of Israel come from. But really interesting stuff. And when we get into Jubilees, it's going to go into a bit more detail about all of this as well. And Shabbat Shalom, Brother Lachlan. And Shabbat Shalom, Brother Michael as well. All right, so sorry, I was just checking chat there, catching up on it. Barak Yahuwah, brother. All right, so we're going to read up to 28, verse 9 here. Let me mark it as a reminder so I know where to stop. And then we'll be jumping into the book of Jubilees. So Genesis 28. And Yitzhak called Jacob and Barak him, and commanded him, and said to him, Do not take a wife from the daughters of Canaan. Arise and go to Padan Aram, to the house of Bethuel, your mother's father, and take a wife for yourself from there, from the daughters of Laban, your mother's brother. And El Shaddai barak you, and make you bear fruit, and increase you, and you shall become an assembly of peoples. And that's, again, that blessing going on to him, and we see that this actually occurs. And give you the barakah of Abraham to you and your seed with you, so that you inherit the land of your sojournings, which Elohim gave to Abraham. I love it, because that's, again, it's speaking about when they do the exodus out of Mitzrayim and inherit this land. And so Yitzhak sent Jacob away, and he went to Padan Aram, to Laban, the son of Bethuel, the Aramean, the brother of Rikbah, the mother of Jacob and Esau. And Esau saw that Yitzhak had barak Jacob, and sent him away to Padan Aram, to take himself a wife from there. And that as he barak him, he gave him a command, saying, Do not take a wife from the daughters of Canaan. And that Jacob had obeyed his father and his mother, and had gone to Padan Aram. So Esau saw that the daughters of Canaan did not please his father Yitzhak. And Esau went to Ishmael, and took Mahalalath, the daughter of Ishmael, Abraham's son, the sister of Nebaioth, to be his wife, besides the wives that he had. Hey Tabitha, Shabbat Shalom. All right, and So that's our Genesis portion there. Next, we're going to get into Jubilees chapter 24. Basically a recap that goes into more detail. And I love it because, we read the corresponding verses in Genesis and we see how Jubilees lines right up with everything Genesis reads. It's really mind-boggling that people try to deny this book and others just based off what people say about them. But I'll continue here in 24, and then Brandon, if you want to read 25, and then Sumi 26. Excuse me. All right, so Jubilees, chapter 24. And it came to be after the death of Abraham that Yahuah barak Yitzhak his son, and he went up from Hebron and went and dwelt at Beer Lahai. Beer Lahai Roy, in the first year of the 3rd week of this Yobel, 7 years. And in the first year of the 4th week, a scarcity of food began in the land, besides the first scarcity of food, which had been in the days of Abraham. And we see these scarcities of food happen quite often, actually. And Jacob cooked lentil stew, and Esau came from the field hungry. And he said to Jacob his brother, "Give me of this red stew." And Jacob said to him, "Sell to me your birthright, and I shall give you bread, and also some of this lentil stew." And Esau said in his heart, "I shall die. Of what profit is to me this birthright?" And he said to Jacob, "I give it to you." And Jacob said, "Swear to me this day." And he swore unto him. So, he says, what profit is to him if he's going to die. So he's just giving away his birthright. Again, the same details that we see in Genesis. And Jacob gave his brother Esau bread and stew, and he ate until he was satisfied. But Esau despised his birthright, and for this reason Esau's name was called Edom, on account of the red stew which Jacob gave him for his birthright. And so we see the detail of why he was called Edom. Just this little detail here. And Jacob became the elder, and Esau was brought down from his dignity. And a scarcity of food was over the land. And Yitzhak departed to go down into Mitzrayim in the 2nd year of this week, and went to the sovereign of the Pelishites, to Gerar, to Abimelech. And Yahuah appeared to him and said, "Do not go down into Mitzrayim. Dwell in the land that I tell you, and sojourn in this land, and I shall be with you a Barakoth. Wait, I shall be with you and Barakoth you. Sorry. For to you and to your seed I shall give all this land, and I shall establish my oath, which I swore unto Abraham your father, and I shall multiply your seed as the stars of the Shamayim, and I shall give unto your seed all this land. And in your seed shall all the nations of the earth be Barakoth, or Baruch, because your father obeyed my voice, and kept my charge and my commands, and my Torah, and my laws, and my covenant, and now obey my voice, and dwell in this land. And he dwelt in Gerar 3 weeks of years. And Abimelech commanded concerning him, and concerning all that was his, saying, Any man that touches him, or any that is his, shall certainly die. And Yitzhak grew strong among the Pelishites, and he gained many possessions, oxen, and sheep, and camels, and donkeys, and a large household. And he sowed in the land of the Pelashites, and brought in 100-fold. And Yitzhak became exceedingly great, and the Pelashites envied him. Now all the wells which the servants of Abraham had dug in the life of Abraham, the Pelashites had stopped them up after the death of Abraham, and filled them with the earth. And Abimelech said to Yitzhak, Go from us, for you are much mightier than we. And Yitzhak departed from there in the first year in the 7th week, and sojourned in the Wadi Gerar. And they dug again the wells of water, which the servants of Abraham his father had dug, and which the Pelashites had stopped up after the death of Abraham his father. And he called the names as Abraham his father had named them. And the servants of Yitzhak dug a well in the wadi, and found running water. And the shepherds of Gerar strove with the shepherds of Yitzhak, saying, The water is ours. And Yitzhak called the name of the well Esek, because they strove with us. And they dug a second well, and they strove for that too. And he called its name Sitnah. And he arose from there, and they dug another well, and they did not strive for that. And he called the name of it Rehoboth. And Yitzhak said, Now Yahuah has made room for us, and we have increased in the land. And he went up from there to Beersheba in the first year of the first week in the 40th Yobel. And Yahuah appeared to him that night on the head of the first month, and said to him, I am the Elohim of Abraham your father. Do not fear, for I am with you, and shall barak you, and you shall surely multiply your seed as the sand of the earth, for the sake of Abraham, my servant. And again, this is that word, it's chachodesh, which does not mean new moon at all, not whatsoever. And he built the altar there, which Abraham his father had first built, and he called on the name of Yahuah. And he offered an offering to the Elohim of Abraham his father. And they dug a well, and found running water. And the servants of Yitzhak dug another well, but did not find water. And they went and told Yitzhak that they had not found water. And Yitzhak said, I have sworn to this day to the Pelashites, and this matter has been announced to us. And they're digging a lot of wells here, huh? And he called the name of that place Beersheba, for there he had sworn to Abimelech, and Azueth his friend, and Pickle, the commander of his army. Here's Mr. Pickle. Hey, Shabbat Shalom, Rebecca. And Yitzhak knew that day that he had sworn to them under constraint to make peace with them. And Yitzhak on that day cursed the Pelashites and said, Cursed be the Pelashites into the day of wrath, and displeasure from the midst of all the nations. May Elohim make them a mockery and a curse, and an object of wrath and displeasure in the hands of the sinners, the Gentiles in the hands of the Kittim. And yeah, he's saying this because he was deceived into making a peace treaty with them. And so we see this is actually where the synagogue of Hasatan of modern day stems from as well. And whoever escapes the sword of the enemy and of Kittim, may the righteous nation root out in judgment from under the Shamayim. For they shall be the enemies and foes of my children throughout their generations on the earth. And they sure are, still to this day. And no remnant shall be left to them, nor one that shall be saved on the day of wrath, of judgment. For destruction and rooting out and expulsion from the earth is for the whole seed of the Pelashites. And there shall be no longer left a name of these Kaphtorim, or a seed on the earth. So this is speaking about on the day of judgment, there's not going to be a remnant of them on the earth any longer because of who they are and the deeds that they do. For though he ascends to the Shamayim, from there shall he be brought down. And though he makes himself a strong one on earth, from there he shall be dragged out. And though he hides himself among the nations, even from there he shall be rooted out. And though he descended into the grave, there also shall his punishment be great, and there also he shall have no peace. Yep. And if you look into the history of the synagogue of Hasatan, they've been kicked out of hundreds of different nations, rooted out of them. And if he goes into captivity by the hands of those that seek his life, they shall slay him on the way. And neither name or seed shall be left to him all the earth. For into everlasting reproach he shall depart. Yep, on that day of judgment. And thus it is written and engraved concerning him on the tablets of the Shamayim, to do unto him on the day of judgment, so that he may be rooted out of the earth. We see that day is not going to be a great day for these people. And again, it mentions, the day of judgment as well. It shows that the people with the New Age belief that, there is no day of judgment and things like that, it absolutely proves that wrong. But anyways, we see it lines up with everything Genesis was reading. It just goes into a lot more detail about the stories. And then we see right there, the last few verses that we read, it was all about that synagogue of Hasatan. We know who they are today. We talk about them a lot. So, all right. So, Brother Brandon, did you want to read chapter 25 here?
I gotcha. All right. It says, and in the second year of this week in the Yobel, Ribkah called Yaakov her son and spoke to him, saying, My son, do not take a wife of the daughters of Canaan, as Esau your brother, who took 2 wives of the daughters of Canaan. And they have embittered my being with all their unclean deeds, for all their deeds are whoring and lust, and there is no righteousness with them because of evil. And I love you exceedingly, my son, and my heart and my affection barak you every hour of the day and watch of the night. And now, my son, listen to my voice and do the desire of your mother, and do not take yourself a wife of the daughters of this land, but only of the house of my father and of my father's relatives. You shall take a wife of the house of my father, and the Most High El shall barak you, and your children shall be a righteous generation and a Kodesh seed. And then Yaakov spoke to Rivkah his mother, and said to her, See, mother, I am 9 weeks of years old, and I neither know nor have I touched any woman, nor have I engaged myself to any, nor even thought of taking myself a wife of the daughters of Canaan. For I remember, mother, the words of Abraham, our father, for he commanded me not to take a wife of the daughters of Canaan, but to take for myself a wife from the seed of my father's house and from my relatives. I have heard before that daughters have been born to Laban, your brother, and I have laid my heart on them to take a wife from among them. And for this reason I have guarded myself in my spirit against sinning or being corrupted in all my ways throughout all the days of my life. For with regard to lust and whoring, Abraham my father gave me many commands. And despite all that he has commanded me, these 22 years my brother has strove with me and spoken frequently to me and said, My brother, take to wife a sister of my 2 wives. But I refuse to do as he has done. I swear before you, mother, that all the days of my life I shall not take for myself a wife from the daughters of the seed of Canaan, and I shall not act wickedly as my brother has done. Do not fear, mother. Be assured that I shall do your desire and walk in uprightness and not corrupt my ways forever. And afterwards she lifted up her face to the Shamaim and extended the fingers of her hands and opened her mouth and barak the Most High El, who had created the Shamaim and the earth, and she gave him thanks and praise. And she said, Baruch be Yahuah Elohim, and may his Kodesh name be Baruch forever and ever, who has given me Yaakov a pure son and a Kodesh seed, for he is yours, and his seed shall be yours continually and throughout all the generations forever. Barak him, O Adonai, and place in my mouth the barakoth of righteousness, that I may barak him. And in that hour, when the spirit of righteousness ascended into her mouth, she placed both her hands on the head of Yaakov and said, Baruch are you, Adon of the righteousness and Elohim of the ages, and may he barak you beyond all generations of men. May he give you, my son, the path of righteousness and reveal righteousness to your seed. And may he make your sons many during your life, and may they arise according to the number of the mouths or the months of the year. And may their sons become many and great beyond the stars of the Shamaim, and their numbers be more than the sand of the sea. And may he give them for as good land as he said he would give it to Abraham and to his seed after him always, and may they hold it as an everlasting possession. And may I say to you, my son Baruch, children during my life, and a Baruch and Kodesh seed may all your seed be. And as you have refreshed your mother's spirit during life, the womb of her that bore you barak you, and my breast barak you, and my mouth and my tongue praise you greatly. Increase and spread over the earth, and may your seed be perfect in the joy of the Shamaim and earth forever. And may your seed rejoice, and on the great day of peace, may it have peace. And may your name and your seed endure to all the ages, and may the Most High El be their Elohim, and may the Elohim of righteousness dwell with them, and by them may his mikdash be built into all the ages. Baruch is he that barak you, and all flesh that curses you falsely, may it be cursed. And she kissed him and said to him, May Yahuah of the world love you as the heart of your mother, and her affection rejoice in you and barak you. And she ceased from Barakoth. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you, brother.
I was talking to my grandson. He's handing me slippers right now.
No worries. No, and so we see the Barakoth, the blessings that were placed on Yaakov and Yitzhak, and versus the curses we had read about in the previous chapter. So, and we see that this all comes to pass. And it's explained all throughout the Exodus as well. All right, 26. Are you ready, Sister Sumi?
I'm ready to go.
Awesome.
And in the 7th year of this week, Yitzhak called Esau, his older son, and said to him, I am old, my son, and see, my eyes are dim in seeing, and I do not know the day of my death. And now take your hunting weapons, your quiver and your bow, and go out to the field and hunt and catch for me, my son, and make me a tasty dish, such as my being loves, and bring it to me that I may eat, and that my being may barak you before I die. But Rivkah heard, am I on the right place? 26?
Yeah, you're in the right spot.
Okay,
Yeah.
I thought I was, okay, it must have been the Genesis. I got confused. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
And now take your hunting weapons, your quiver and your bow, and go out to the field and hunt and catch for me, my son, and make me a tasty dish, such as my being loves, and bring it to me that I may eat, and that my being may barak you before I die. But Rivkah heard Yitzhak speaking to Esau, and Esau went out early to the field to hunt and catch and bring home to his father. And Rivkah called Yaakov her son, and said to him, See, I heard Yitzhak your father speak to Esau your brother, saying, Hunt for me, and make me a tasty dish, and bring to me that I may eat, and barak you before Yahuah, before I die. And now, my son, obey my voice in that which I command you. Go to your flock and fetch me 2 choice young goats, and I shall make them a tasty dish for your father, such as he loves, and you shall bring to your father that he may eat, and barak you before Yahuah before he dies, and that you may be Baruch. And Yaakov said to Rivkah his mother, Mother, I shall not withhold any matter which my father would eat, and which would please him. Only I fear, my mother, that he shall recognize my voice and want to touch me. And you know that I am smooth, and Esau my brother is hairy, and I shall appear before his eyes as an evildoer, and shall do a deed which he had not commanded me. And he shall be wroth with me, and I shall bring upon myself a curse, and not a barakah. And Rivkah his mother said to him, Your curse be upon me, my son. Only obey my voice. And Yaakov obeyed the voice of Rivkah his mother, and went and fetched 2 choice and fat young goats, and brought them to his mother. And his mother prepared them, such as he loved. And Rivkah took the best garments of Esau, her elder son, which was with her in the house, and she clothed Yaakov, her younger son, and she put the skins of the young goats upon his hands and on the exposed parts of his neck. And she gave the meat and the bread, which she had prepared, into the hand of her son Yaakov. And Yaakov went unto his father and said, I am your son. I have done accordingly as you asked me. Arise and sit and eat of that which I have caught, Father, that your being may barak me. And Yitzhak said to his son, How have you found so quickly, my son? And Yaakov said, Because your Elohim caused me to find. And Yitzhak said to him, Come near that I may feel you, my son, if you are my son, Esau or not. And Yaakov went near to Yitzhak his father, and he felt him and said, The voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are the hands of Esau. And he did not recognize him, because it was caused from the Shamaim to remove his power of perception. And Yitzhak did not recognize, for his hands were hairy as Esau's, so that he barak him. And he said, Are you my son Esau? And he said, I am your son. And he said, Bring near to me, that I may eat of that which you have caught, my son, that my being may barak you. And he brought near to him, and he ate, and he brought him wine, and he drank. And Yitzhak his father said to him, Come near and kiss me, my son. And he came near and kissed him. And he smelled the smell of his garment, and he barak him and said, See the smell of my son, as the smell of a field which Yahuah has brought. And may Yahuah give you of the dew of the Shamaim, and of the dew of the earth, and plenty of grain and oil. Let nations serve you, and peoples bow down to you. Be master over your brothers, and let your mother's sons bow down to you. And may all the berakoth with which Yahuah has barak me and barak Abraham my father be given to you and to your seed forever. Cursed be he that curses you, and Baruch be he that barak you. And it came to be, as soon as Yitzhak had made an end to barak his son Yaakov, and Yaakov had gone out from Yitzhak his father, Esau his brother came in from his hunting. And he also made a tasty dish, and brought to his father, and said to his father, Let my father arise, and eat of my wild game, your being may barak me. And Yitzhak his father said to him, Who are you? And he said to him, I am your firstborn, your son Esau. I have done as you have commanded me. And Yitzhak was greatly astonished, and said, Who is he that has hunted and caught and brought to me? And I have eaten of all before you came, and have barak him. He shall be Baruch, and all his seed forever. And it came to be, when Esau heard the words of his father Yitzhak, that he cried with an exceeding great and bitter cry, and said to his father, Barak me too, father. And he said to him, Your brother came with deceit, and has taken away your barakah. And he said, Now I know why his name is called Yaakov. See, he has caught me by the heel these 2 times. He took away my birthright, and now he has taken away my barakah. And he said, Have you not reserved a barakah for me, father? And Yitzhak answered and said to Esau, See, I have made him your master, and all his brothers I have given to him for your servants. And with plenty of grain and wine and oil I have strengthened him. And what now shall I do for you, my son? And Esau said to Yitzhak, his father, Have you but one barakah, O father? Barak me too, father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Yitzhak answered and said to him, See, far from the dew of the earth shall be your dwelling, and far from the dew of the Shamaim from above. And by your sword you shall live, and you shall serve your brother. And it shall come to be, when you become great, and shake his yoke from off your neck, you shall sin a complete sin unto death, and your seed shall be rooted out from under the Shamaim. And Esau kept threatening Yaakov because of the barakah with which his father baraked him. And he said in his heart, May the days of mourning for my father now come, so that I may slay my brother Yaakov.
Wow. Thank you, sister.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and so we see a lot more detail in this story here. And let me find it real quick. There was a few things that stood out, and it was just more detail to the story. And first we see Rikva. She was taking the curse that would be upon Jacob for being deceptive to his father. Right here in verse 9, actually. And so she knew what was going on. She took that curse upon herself. And then she helped with the deception as well. But this was all prophesied to happen. This is why it was allowed to happen. It was for Yahuah's will to be done. And we see that even, the Ruach came and took away Yitzhak's, discernment, basically. So he wouldn't be able to recognize, because it was always planned to go to Jacob. And then, of course, we have the commandments, the laws, the statutes, all existing well before Moshe and Mount Sinai and all that. So these are the laws, statutes, and commands that have just always been. Yeah, the blessings, something that is missing in our families today. That affirmation from the Father to the Son. And every son craves that from their father. Yeah, 100%. And our Father, Yahuah, he gives it to us if we follow him in his ways. I feel she usurped Yahuah's authority and didn't trust that the barakah would go to Yaakov instead of letting Yahuah dwell with it. Yeah. I would agree with that. It was already going to him, so the deception like that really didn't need to be done. It would have been done how Yahuah wanted it, but, Yahuah allowed it because it was the same result, really. Similar to Sarah when she took matters into her own hand, giving Abraham another wife. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That's always been that's always been my question as well, Micah. Yeah, she could have felt that she was doing Yah's will. Maybe it was Yah's will that it happened that way. Yeah, very interesting stuff. Very interesting questions, too. But we see some deception was allowed to happen because Yahuah allowed it for his benefit. Like Abraham himself, lying to Mitzrayim, and then his son Yitzhak doing the same exact thing. And we see the pattern repeated in his family, where they took matters into their own hands. Yet Yah kept his promise. Yep. Exactly, Brother Michael. Yeah, because Yahuah does keep his promise. So even though they acted in a manner of taking it into their own hands, it was still a barakoth for Yah's will to be done. Yep, exactly. We are still suffering the consequences of their choices back then, 100%. Yeah, and it really does lead back to that generational curses. This is where it all started. And, even Moses took things into his own hands when he struck the rock, and he didn't give Yahuah credit for any of that. I think it also shows, nobody is absolutely perfect. There is only one, and his name's Yahusha. All the rest of us, we fall sometimes here and there. Even Moses himself, Aaron, right on down the line. But Yahuah sees that, and he knows our hearts. And these are the generational curses that, we all bear today as well. They stem from, way back then. Yeah, thank you for pointing that out, brother. Good point. And let's see, we got one more. Oh. Hey, Shalom, Greg. Thank
My
you.
bad.
No worries, brother. I was like, wait, I'm hearing an echo. But yeah, so really good stuff. And we see Jubilees says the same thing as Genesis. It just gives some more details on it. Nothing that's red flags or contradictory or anything. It's just more detail about it. Yeah, brother Michael. Yeah, I believe these stories are in scripture to show us the mercy of Yahuah, that we too can take matters into our own hands and suffer consequences. Yet Yahuah is still faithful to fulfill his promise to us. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Very true. Thank you for sharing, brother. Wise words. All right. So, Sumi or Brandon, or if anybody else would like to read the last chapter in Jubilees here for our Torah portion.
Okay, what chapter is it?
27 here.
Okay. And the words of Esau, her elder son, were told to Rivkah in a dream. And Rivkah sent and called Yaakov, her younger son, and said to him, See, Esau your brother shall take vengeance on you, so as to kill you. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice, and arise and flee to Laban, my brother, to Haran, and stay with him a few days until your brother's wrath turns away, and he removes his wrath from you, and forgets all that you have done. Then I shall send and bring you from there. And Yaakov said, I'm not afraid. If he wants to kill me, I shall kill him. But she said to him, let me not be bereaved of both my sons on one day. And Yaakov said to Rivkah his mother, see, you know that my father has become old, and does not see because his eyes are dim. And if I leave him, it shall be evil in his eyes, because I leave him and go away from you. And my father shall be wroth, and shall curse me. I shall not go. When he sends me, then only shall I go. And Rivkah said to Yaakov, I shall go in and speak to him, and he shall send you away. And Rivkah went in and said to Yitzhak, I loathe my life because of the 2 daughters of Heth, whom Esau has taken as wives. And if Yaakov takes a wife from among the daughters of the land such as these, for what purpose do I further live? For the daughters of Canaan are evil. And Yitzhak called Yaakov and barak him, and warned him, and said to him, do not take a wife of any of the daughters of Canaan. Arise and go to Aram Naharaim, to the house of Bethuel, your mother's father, and take a wife from there of the daughters of Laban, your mother's brother. And El Shaddai barak you, and increase and multiply you, that you may become a company of nations, and give you the Berakoth of my father Abraham, to you and to your seed after you, that you may inherit the land of your sojournings, and all the land which Elohim gave to Abraham. Go in peace, my son. And Yitzhak sent Yaakov away, and he went to Aram Naharaim, to Laban, and the son of Bethuel, the Aramean, the brother of Rivkah, Yaakov's mother. And it came to be, after Yaakov had arisen to go to Aram Naharaim, that the spirit of Rivkah was grieved after her son, and she wept. And Yitzhak said to Rivkah, my sister, do not weep on account of Yaakov my son, for he goes in peace, and in peace he shall return. The Most High El shall preserve him from all evil, and shall be with him, for he shall not forsake him all his days. For I know that his ways shall be prospered in all matters wherever he goes, until he returns to us in peace, and we see him in peace. Do not fear on his account, my sister, for he is on the upright path, and he is a perfect man, and he is trustworthy, and shall not perish. Do not weep. And Yitzhak comforted Rivkah on account of her son Yaakov, and barak him. And Yaakov went from Beersheba to go to Haran on the 1st year of the 2nd week in the 44th Yovel. And he came to Luz on the mountains, that is Bethel, on the new month, on the first day of the new month of this week. And he came to the place in the evening, and turned from the way to the west of the road that night. And he slept there, for the sun had gone down. And he took one of the stones of that place, and laid it under the tree. And he was journeying alone, and he slept. And he dreamt that night, and see, a ladder put up on the earth, and the top of it reached to the Shamayim. And see, the messengers of Yahuah ascended and descended on it. And see, Yahuah stood upon it. And he spoke to Yaakov, and said, I am Yahuah, Elohim of Abraham your father, and the Elohim of Yitzhak. The land on which you are sleeping, to you I shall give it, and to your seed after you. And your seed shall be as the dust of the earth, and you shall increase to the west, and to the east, to the north, and the south. And in you and in your seed all the families of the nations shall be Baruch. And see, I shall be with you, and shall keep you wherever you go. I shall bring you again into this land in peace, for I shall not leave you, until I do all that I have told you of. And Yaakov awoke from his sleep, and he said, truly this place is the house of Yahuah, and I did not know it. And he was afraid, and said, how awesome is this place, which is none other than the house of Elohim, and this is the gate of the Shamayim. And Yaakov arose early in the morning, and took the stone which he had put under his head, and put it up as a standing column for a sign. And he poured oil on the top of it, And he called the name of that place Bethel. But the name of the place was Luz at the first. And Yaakov vowed a vow to Yahuah, saying, If Yahuah shall be with me, and shall keep me in this way that I go, and give me bread to eat and garments to put on, so that I come again to my father's house in peace, then Yahuah shall be my Elohim, and this stone which I have put up as a standing column for a sign in this place shall be the house of Yahuah. And all that you give me, I shall give the tenth to you, my Elohim. Amen.
Barak Yahuah. Thank you, sister. And so we see, so in Genesis it mentions, how Rikva said, I don't want to lose both my sons the same day, but there's no story behind it as to why. But we get that story in the background as to why she says that here in Jubilees. And then, Michael, he saying he was perfect and upright, yet he had just deceived his father. And it's not because we are perfect. It's because Yahuah will cover our sins and make us perfect. And not only that, but we see Rikva also took that curse upon her, therefore negating it going to Jacob. But I think that's for those two reasons why he was perfect and upright. Not because he didn't sin, but he was made perfect and upright by Yahuah for following him. I think he had the belief, and it shows he was doing works, but he was just like us all. We succumb to sin and things like that. None of us are perfect. And no worries, Sister Sumi. Yeah, Jacob's ladder was the new year, first of the first month. Even the anointing was on the second of the first month. Yeah. Actually, that was meant for next week's. We might have to kind of recap this. But yeah, very interesting. Good eyes there, Sister Natalie. Yeah, so that's something else that happened on the first of the first month. The true New Year. Oh, what you got there, Lachlan? Would you like to read that, brother? And here, let me catch up in chat, though. Yeah, because we believe and call on his name. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, whenever.
Awesome. Let me just catch up on the messages in chat here real quick. Yeah, he honored his mother's wishes, which is honoring your mother and your father. Yeah, no problem, brother. But yeah, let me see. Yeah, I just got my thing next, but yeah, if you want to read that before we get into that, Brother Lachlan, that would be actually great. It'll give me a chance to rest before reading again.
Yeah, cool. I'll get into it now. The Beast System Blueprint Part 2. How they declared you dead in law. Before a government can control a man It must first reduce him to something less than a man, not spiritually, but legally. If you are living, breathing, accountable only to Yahuah, they cannot own you. They cannot tax you, they cannot register you, they cannot license you, they cannot claim jurisdiction over you. So the beast system found a way around that. It created a process that treats every child born on earth as legally dead until proven otherwise. This is the core of the modern curse, this is the root of the straw man, and this is the part almost nobody is ever told. Let's break it down. 1. A living man cannot be owned. In Scripture, a living soul belongs to Yahuah alone. No king, priest, empire, or merchant can lay claim to a living man without committing theft and blood guilt. So the world powers had to create a workaround, turn living men into missing, lost, presumed dead identities on paper. Dead entities can be owned. Dead entities can be administered, dead entities can be taxed, dead entities can be controlled. You are living, your legal person is not. The distinction is the key. 2. The 1666 presumption never ended. The Sestaqi v. Act 1666 didn't stay in London. It became the template for nearly every Western nation. It declared if a man does not appear to the state, he is presumed dead. During the fire and the plague, this meant missing, ? Not present, ? Can't speak for yourself, ? Can't defend yourself, ? Your estate, ? You're legally dead. Your property goes to the crown, your identity becomes administrable, your rights vanish into the hands of officials. Fast forward to today, every newborn child matches that definition perfectly. Cannot speak, cannot appear in court, cannot rebut, cannot claim their own estate, cannot declare themselves living, cannot stand as a man. So the system quietly applies the same presumption, missing, unable to appear, presumed dead, and they create a legal substitute. 3. The creation of the legal person, the dead entity. When a baby is born, a record is created that does not represent the living soul. It represents the estate, the person, the entity, the subject, the franchise, the vessel, the citizen, the thing. This is the dead in law fiction created to stand in your place. It holds debt, holds obligations, holds commercial liability, is treated as cargo, is subject to maritime law, is governed by merchant courts, is assumed to be property of the state, is managed by agencies on your behalf. The living you is silent in this process. The legal you is created without your awareness. This is why everything government related is addressed to the name in capital letters. The fiction, not the man. Four, why this works for them. Because the entire system is built on one rule. If you do not correct the presumption stands. If you do not rebut, it becomes law. If you do not speak, they speak for you. If you do not claim your status, they assign one to you. A living man has standing, a dead entity has none. This is why courts treat you as property, banks treat you as a debtor, police treat you as a subject, governments treat you as cargo on their ship, agencies presume jurisdiction. Your rights are only granted instead of inherent, because on paper you never return from the dead. 5. Why Yahuah calls his people out of Babylon. Revelation doesn't warn us randomly. Babylon rules through contracts, commerce, sorcery, assumption, silence, presumption, registration, merchant law. It is not only spiritual, it is legal. The beast doesn't need chains, it needs your lack of rebuttal. This is how the nations made war with the saints during the little season, through paperwork instead of swords. Post 2 reveals the mechanism. Yeah, can get into that another time.
Nice. No, thank you for sharing, brother. And yeah, it's interesting because I was just speaking about this the other day too. You know, the whole the straw man thing, and you know, making these contracts and deals unknowingly, things like that, and this legal ease that they speak to, you know, confuse the population into making agreements that they have no idea that they're making. And that's pretty cool there, Sister Natalie. You got Tamim. Integrity and truth. Yeah. Offer and acceptance. Yep, exactly. That's how they trick everybody. You know, Satan's all about that deception and fooling everybody, signing contracts with him, things like that. That's just it, too. Our silence is an agreement. That's exactly what they take it as. You know, if nobody says anything, they must be in agreement, right? I think that's how they test everybody, too. You know, this is why they force all this, you know, like the scamdemic that recently everybody has gone through. You know, it was a test on, you know, how many people would disagree or not. Testing the waters, exactly. They are jesters, 100%. They're clowns. The clowns look like Nephilim, which is a really good series if you haven't seen that. It's actually a book. The guy wrote a book about that as well. And I was going to ask before we go on, Sister Jermaine, if you are ready to do a Psalm and Sirach reading, or if you're available to, that is.
No, I'm actually up in the goat yard, and then I have to go back and help my mum post-op. So it would probably be 8:30 or 8:45, which would be about your 2:45.
Awesome. No worries. It's cool hearing the goats, by the way. I like it. Aw, that's awesome.
Yeah, I am where I said I am.
Yeah, actually, Lachlan, if you want to do post 3, yeah, go for it, brother. Yeah, the little goats and the lambs, super cute. I love it. I'm telling you, I'm about to move to Australia. No.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Awesome, yeah. Whenever you're ready, brother, go ahead.
The Beast System Blueprint, Part 3. The straw man, the fake you standing in your place. If the beast system wants control of mankind, it cannot control living men. It must control legal fictions. That means the system needs a replacement for you. A duplicate, a shadow, a commercial vessel, a legal avatar, built from paper, registration, and presumption. This is the straw man. It looks like you, it sounds like you, it carries your name, but it's not you. But it is not you. And until you know the difference, you will always be ruled by a system that was never designed for the living. Let's expose it. 1. The straw man was created because you were dead in law. As we saw in part 2, a newborn child cannot speak, appear, rebut, claim, declare life, stand in law. So the state assumes the child is lost, missing, unable to appear, presumed dead, but the world still needs taxpayers, debt carriers, subjects, corporate citizens, license holders, policy enforcers, registered entities, legal persons. So instead of forcing the living to be property, they simply create a second identity that is property. The straw man. What the straw man actually is, too. Most people think the straw man is a conspiracy theory. It isn't. It's contract law. The straw man is a commercial estate created by the state to represent the dead in law version of you. This estate has a name in all caps, has a date of creation, birth certificate, has a number, tax file, social security number, etc. Has a status, citizen, resident, subject, has obligations, contracts, has liabilities, debt, has restrictions, statutes, has permissions, licenses, has owners, the state, unless rebutted. Every bill, fine, debt, court order, license, registration, and contract is addressed to that entity, not the living man. The trick is simple. You are trained to answer for it, speak as it, and act like it is you. That is the deception. 3. The straw man operates under maritime law, not scripture. Living men operate under Yahuah's law, but the straw man operates under merchant law. Maritime law, contract law, corporate statutes, assumptions, adhesion agreements, presumption, silence. Scripture calls this system the merchants of the earth, the sorceries of Babylon, pharmakia, the flood that tries to sweep the remnant away, the beast that rules the nations, the image of the beast. The straw man is literally the legal image that the governments use to claim ownership. The living soul belongs to Yahuah. The legal construct belongs to them. This is how they rule without violating spiritual law. 4. How the straw man is used against you. Because it is dead, the straw man has no rights, has no voice, has no standing, must be represented, is subject to any authority placed over it, cannot claim sovereignty, cannot stand before Yahuah, cannot resist jurisdiction, can be fined, taxed, licensed, and penalized endlessly. And because you don't know the difference, you answer for it. You sign for it, you represent it, you enter into contracts as it. You walk into court as it. You even pay fines that were never issued to the living man, only to the legal estate. This is why judges ask, do you understand the charges? Not understand, because to understand is to stand under the authority of the contract. This is why your name appears in all caps. It is the estate, not you. 5. Scripture warned about this exact system. Revelation shows a beast with an image, a system controlling buying and selling, a world ruled by merchants, men becoming cargo, nations deceived through sorcery and contracts, a net thrown over the whole earth, the remnant targeted legally, not militarily. The straw man is the legal foundation of that image. The merchants trade in souls of men, Revelation 18:13, not physically, legally. The straw man is the soul, a state they claim ownership of. 6. Why you must know this before remedy. If you do not know who the straw man is, you will sign as it, speak as it, contract as it, submit as it, answer as it, obey as it, be punished as it, and you will never be able to correct the presumption, because you haven't separated the living from the dead. Identifying straw man is the first step in coming out of Babylon lawfully and spiritually. Part 4 will show you the jurisdiction behind it, the waters that swallowed the nations.
Awesome. Thank you, brother. Yeah, that maritime law was recently talking about that as well. I actually keep meaning to go over that one of these days, the whole maritime law thing. It's really fascinating, and it's how they deceive us, truly. And Sarah, Shabbat Shalom. Good to see you here.
Oh, Shabbat Shalom to all you.
And you made it just in time. We're about to go over how Yahusha is from David and Levi, or Aharon.
Oh, that ought to be great.
All praise to the Most High Yahuah.
Wow.
Oh,
So
you spoke. Oh,
so
go
you're
ahead,
saying,
sister. Sorry.
so you're saying by lineage he's also from the tribe of Levi?
Yeah, exactly. And we're actually going to walk through scriptures to prove this out, and the
Okay.
Dead Sea Scrolls as well.
Okay. I'm glad I tuned in.
Yeah, I am as well.
I'm so glad you're glad.
No, it's good to have you here, sister, really. And
Thanks. Looks like we have a great group today.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And yeah, Jackie, Sean Hadler knows a lot about this. I know him. He's a cool brother. He knows a lot about, this very information.
Okay.
Yeah, he really has. He has a lot of information about a
You're
lot of
going in and out, sister.
things, but
You're going in and
Yeah,
out.
yeah, breaking
I
up a
used
little
to
bit.
Sukkot with him, but just talked to him yesterday.
Oh, yeah. All right. Yeah, no worries, sister. It's all good. Better to be in the sticks than in the city. Hey, Marissa, Shabbat Shalom.
Hey, Shabbat Shalom. Sorry, I'm late to the party.
No worries. Well, you're just in
Hey,
time for this.
yeah, when you're done, I have a little write-up I did. It's not very long, but I could share that later.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Let's see. What do we got here? Oh, so we're only at an hour and 38 minutes. We still got plenty of time. So that'd be awesome. All right, so let's get into this. And this shouldn't take too very long to go through, but it's really profound and fascinating. And here, let me just walk it through here. So this is Messiah Yahusha from David and Levi. So Yahusha the Messiah is known to be of the lineage of David. And what most don't realize is that he is also from the lineage of Levi, specifically from the sons of Zadok. Let's walk through scripture and the Dead Sea Scrolls to prove this out. So here we got Jeremiah 23 verses 5 and 6. And this is one of quite a few times it mentions the branch of righteousness from David. So, see, the days are coming, declares Yahuah, when I shall raise for David a branch of righteousness. And the sovereign shall reign and act wisely, and shall do right ruling and righteousness in the earth. In his days Yehudah shall be saved, and Yisrael dwell safely. And this is his name, whereby he shall be called Yahuah Zedonuk. So, some interesting stuff about, well, first of all, the branch of righteousness and Yahuah Zedonuk. And this is literally, so we're going to get, let me actually share my screen and I'll show you what I'm speaking about here.
Yeah, what passage was that? Are you going to put that on the screen?
What's that again, sister? Sorry. I didn't quite understand you there. Where is...
What passage was that?
It's breaking up there a little bit there, sister.
I think she's asking what scripture is that?
Yeah.
Oh, what we just read? It
Yeah.
was Jeremiah 23, 5 through 6. So let me share those words I was just speaking about here. So from the Strong's Concordance, so the first word we got is, well, let me go to H6664, and, well, we're already there. So we see the word is Zadek, or Zadek, and it's from this root word from H6663. So the branch of righteousness there is this word here, which is also Zadik. So the difference between this spelling and this spelling is a dalet. And we know that Yahusha is the dalet, the door. And the door is the fourth letter of the alphabet. So when it refers to the branch of righteousness, it's always this spelling right here with the dalet in there for the door, which I found really fascinating. And again, this is the root word for it. And this root word there is Zadok. It's the root word for all of these things. So it's Samak Zadok. And let me actually get into that here. It's really fascinating. So I just wanted to show you that from the Strong's Concordance that, all these words with Zadok, the root word is Zadok. And it has a lot to do with the branch of righteousness having that dalet in there from the word Zadok. But we see the H6664, which means Yahuah, our righteousness. And the word here is also Zadok. And we can also see the branch of righteousness. It comes from the line of David in Jeremiah 23 that we just read above. So the key words, which are branch, which is H6780, Samak, and righteousness, which we just read, Zadik, Zadok. And they play a key role in the clues that we need to fit the puzzle together. The Zamak of Zadik, or in other words, in the English, it's Zamak of Zadok. Who is Zadok? Well, we should all know that here. But Zadok is a high priest from the lineage of Aharon, who's ordained by Yahuah himself to be the line of high priests, as we read in Ezekiel 44. So Ezekiel 44:15, the Kohanim, the priests, the Levites, the sons of Zadok, who guarded the duty of my Mikdash when the children of Israel went astray from me, they shall draw near to me to serve me, and shall stand before me to bring me the fat and the blood, declares the Adon Yahuah. In Jeremiah 33, we get a little bit more clarity about who the branch of Zadok is, the Samak Zadok, as told from a future prophecy in Jeremiah's time. And again, it says, see, so this is Jeremiah 33:14 through 26. And it says, see, The days are coming, which we read before in 25, declares Yahuah, when I shall establish the good word, which I have promised to the house of Israel and to the house of Yehudah. So that good word, we know there is one good word, the word of Yahuah, who became flesh. And in those days, at that time, I caused the Zamach Sadak to spring forth for David, and he shall do right ruling and righteousness in the earth. And in those days, Yehudah shall be saved, and Jerusalem dwell in safety. And this is that which shall be proclaimed to her, Yahuah our righteousness. For thus said Yahuah, for David, there is not to cease a man to sit on the throne of the house of Israel. But this one's important, so this is verses 17 and 18. 18 specifically here. And for the Kohanim, the Levites, there is not to cease a man to offer burnt offerings before me, to kindle grain offerings, and to slaughter continually. So always the same promise given to David that there won't be a man to cease to sit on the throne. Same promise is given to the Levites that they will always have a priest to offer continually. And the word of Yahuah came to Yirmiyahu, saying, so again, Messiah right here, the word of Yahuah. Thus said Yahuah, if you could break my covenant with the day and my covenant with the night, so that there will be not day and night in their season, then my covenant could also be broken with David my servant, so that he shall not have a son to reign upon his throne. So, and the covenant right here with the Levites, the Kohanim, my attendants, as the host of the Shamayim is not counted, nor the sand of the sea measured. So I increase the descendants of David my servant, and the Levites who attend upon me. And the word of Yahuah, again, Mashiach right here, came to Yirmiyahu, saying, have you not observed what these people have spoken, saying, the two clans which Yahuah has chosen? Wait, chosen for what? To bring forth the Zamach Sadak. So the two clans which Yahuah has chosen have been rejected by him. So this is what the people would say, thinking this, but he's going to instill his promise. So they despise my people, no more to be a nation before them. Thus said Yahuah, if my covenant is not with day and night, and if have I not appointed the laws of the Shamayim and earth, then I would also reject the descendants of Jacob and David, my servant, so that I should not take of his descendants to be rulers over the descendants of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Jacob. For I shall turn back their captivity and have compassion on them. So in verse 17 in Jeremiah that we just read, it shows us a man from the house of David will not cease on the throne. And the key verse is 18, where there will not cease to be a man who does the priestly offerings and duties continually. So Yahuah is telling us there will be an eternal offering from a man coming from Aharon forever. How can this be if a man from the Levitical priesthood is no longer to be found here in these days? And how is it possible if Messiah is from the line of David only? How is it possible he's both our king and our high priest at the same time? As only those from Aharon or Levi can be high priests according to what Scripture says. And that's Exodus 28:1 and Numbers 3:10 both state the high priests have to come from Aharon. And Yahuwah is not going to disobey his own word. So how can Yahusha be both if he is only from David? So the same man mentioned in verse 17 is the same man that's going to be mentioned, or that was mentioned in verse 18, which is Yahusha, the Zamach of Zadok. So most will take verse 17 and 18 of Jeremiah 33 as two different people. And this is not so. And we're going to get into this a lot deeper here. So verses 19 through 23 read how important both David and Levi are, how they both are important to Yahuah. And verse 24 reads about the two chosen clans of Yahuah, which are David and Levi. And chosen for what? And that's where verse 17 already has shown us, the Zamach Zadok. Zechariah 3 gives us details on the promises made to Yehoshua, the high priest, by Yahuah, that he, Yehoshua, will rule Yahuah's house and his courts. And I just wanted to also point out Yehoshua is very similar to Yahusha. Another key point there. So the same promise that was given to David, that he will sit on the throne, Yahushua was being the high priest, and from Levi was promised by Yahuah to be in his heavenly tabernacle, just like David was promised to sit on his heavenly throne. So this is Zechariah chapter 3, verses 7 through 8. Thus said Yahuah of hosts, if you walk in my ways, and if you guard my duty, then you shall also rule my house, and also guard my courts. And I shall give you access among these standing here. Now listen, Yahushua, the Kohen Hagadol, the high priest, you and your companions who sit before you, for they are men of symbol. For look, I am bringing forth my servant, the branch, the Zamach. And there is only one branch, one Zamach. How can this promise be made to both Yahushua, be made to Yahushua if his house didn't have someone to sit forever as a high priest to Yahuah? Oh, interesting. Joshua, it's used as Yahusha, not Yahushua. Yeah, no, I've done a study on that actually in the past, and yeah, it's Yahusha that's mentioned more times. Yeah, I would agree with that they added that extra U to push that Yeshua is the abbreviation. I agree. Let's see, where was I? So how can it be that promise be made to Yahushua if his house didn't have someone to sit forever as a high priest to Yahuah? And that's actually very cool you pointed that out, because it actually is Yahusha here. So the same name. Wow. It's the branch, the Zamach. So because there is a man from his house, which is from Levi, Aharon, and the house of David, that fulfills this promise to both, and who is also Melchizedek. So Zechariah 6, and these ones are amazing right here, verses 11 through 13. And you shall take the silver and gold, and make a crown, and place it on the head of Yahusha, the son of Jehozadak, Zadok, the Kohen Hagadol. So immediately we say a crown, which is, for a sovereign, a king, being placed on the head of the high priest. And you shall speak to him, saying, thus said Yahuah of hosts, saying, see, the man whose name is the branch, the Zamach, it's a man. And from his place he shall branch out, and he shall build the Hayakal of Yahuah. That's exactly what Yahusha did. Yahusha HaMashiach. It is he who is going to build the Hayakal of Yahuah. It is he who is going to bear the splendor, and he shall sit and rule on his throne. And he shall be a Kohen, a priest on his throne. And the counsel of peace shall be between them both. So both a king and a high priest. This promise was given to Yahushua right here, who was the high priest. So Zechariah 6 further proves through scripture that the branch of Zadok, the Tzemach Zadok, is also from the tribe of Levi, Aharon, the sons of Aharon, the sons of Zadok. And a crown is placed on Yehoshua's head, who is a Levite, and he is told he will be a priest on Yahuwah's throne. So the same promise given to David, that he will be a king on his throne. So Yahushua's father's name was also Yehozadak, having Zadok in his name, meaning Yahuwah's righteousness. And this is how Melchizedek is a king and a high priest. We see two in one. Melchizedek means king of righteousness, and he is a king and high priest of Yahuwah. Zechariah 6 is deeper prophecy about Melchizedek, and the Dead Sea Scrolls describe exactly who Melchizedek is. It's Yahuwah himself in the flesh, which is Yahusha. And this is really a deep connection here. Not only does it show the Levitical priesthood still continues on eternally because it was promised that this would happen, but this is also how the king and high priest is able to come and be, because Yahusha is from both. So this is 11Q Melchizedek, or 11Q13. So 11Q Melchizedek, column 2. And your Elohim is Melchizedek, who will save them from the hand of Belial. As for that which is said, you shall ascend abroad to the trumpet in all the land. It is Messiah who is king and high priest of the Melchizedek priesthood. And the book of Hebrews elaborates on Melchizedek's significance in relationship to Messiah. So Hebrews 7 describes Melchizedek as king of Salem, priest of Yahuwah Most High, and emphasizes his lack of genealogy, making him as resembling the son of Yahuwah. He remains a priest forever. So going right along with what we find in the Dead Sea Scrolls, saying Melchizedek is Yahuwah our Elohim. So this is Hebrews 7, 1 through 3. For this Melchizedek, sovereign of Shalom, Kohen of the Most High Elohim, who met Abraham returning from the slaughter of the sovereigns and barak him, to who also Abraham gave a 10th part of all, first of all translated as the sovereign of righteousness, and then also sovereign of Shalom, that is, the sovereign of peace, without a father, without mother, without genealogy. Yep, having neither beginning of days or end of life, but having been made like the Ben, the son of Yahuwah, remains a Kohen for all time. So this is really deep as well, because we see he has no beginning or end of days, end of life. Who else has no beginning or end of life? Well, Yahuwah, which goes right along with what we just read in the Dead Sea Scrolls, that Yahuwah, our Elohim, is Melchizedek. This is why the synagogue of Hasatan perpetuates the whole Shem is Melchizedek lie, because they try to hide this fact. And it's simply not true. Yeah, it reminds me of the term Ancient of Days. Yep, exactly. Exactly. It all connects. So why does Melchizedek have no genealogy? Because he is Yahusha, who is Yahuwah in the flesh, the son of Elohim. Yep, from the ages, wisdom, the Aleph and the Tav, yeah, boom. So 11Q13, 11Q Melchizedek depicts Melchizedek as the son of Elohim who is coming in the last days to execute judgment against the wicked and deliver the righteous. So it's another quote from 11Q13. So, but Melchizedek was made like unto the son of Elohim, and abide a priest continually. And there's that word continually, matching with what we just read in Zechariah. And I'm pretty sure everybody can see all these huge connections right now. Like, I can't be the only one. But it's really, really amazing. And Psalms 110 is a prophecy concerning the Melchizedek priesthood of the Messiah. And in Genesis 14, Melchizedek is called the king of Salem and priest of the Most High Yahuah, which is also in Hebrews 7:1 that we just read. So his priesthood was not based on genealogy, Hebrews 7:3. It was based on him alone. For no one preceded him in the priesthood or succeeded him, which is Hebrews 7:8. So again, 11Q2, 8 through 10. And this is still part of the Melchizedek scrolls. So verses 8 through 10. So in which atonement shall be made for the sons of light and for the men of the lot of Melchizedek, over them, according to all their doings. For it is the time for the year of grace of Melchizedek. And that's exactly what Yahusha came to announce the acceptable year of Yahuah. So the year of grace of Melchizedek and his armies, the nation of the Kodesh ones of Elohim, the administration of justice, as it is written about him in the songs of David, Psalm 82:1 specifically, who said, Elohim shall stand in the assembly of Elohim. In the midst of the lowercase gods, he shall judge. So 11Q Melchizedek quotes and expounds on numerous passages in the context of Melchizedek as part of the ultimate fulfillment of the scriptural Jubilee, the year of release, something far beyond simple property reimbursement and the like. Yeah, the year of grace, exactly. The millennial kingdom. You got it, Brother Ken. That as well. So it's far beyond just these simple property reimbursements and these things, but it's rather the overall triumph over sin itself through atonement and salvation for all, which all of these things are done in the millennial temple, which I'm actually doing a write-up about that, about the offerings and sacrifices that are offered in the millennial temple itself. So let me continue here. It's really fascinating. So references in 4Q246, which we will read below, and the Melchizedek scroll together indicate a figure who is both man and Elohim. So 4Q246, column 1, verse 9, and also his son will be called the Great and be designated his name. And 4Q246, column 2, verses 7 through 8, and all the nations shall do obeisance to them. The great Elohim will be their help, and he himself will fight for them, putting people into their power. So his son will be called the Great. He's given his name, and he himself will fight for them. Or in other words, Messiah is Yahuah in the flesh, who is Melchizedek. So Yochanan the Immerser also gives us an important factor of the lineage of Yahusha. So John the Baptist. Yeah, it goes deep. But yeah, Yochanan the Immerser, he gives us an important factor of the lineage of Yahusha. So Yochanan's birth itself was foretold by a messenger, the angel, who announced his coming to his father Zechariah in Luke 1. So we have Luke 1, verses 12 through 17. And it's really a good chapter, but I just want to focus on these verses because this is the important part. So Luke 1, 12 through 17. And when Zechariah saw, he was troubled, and fear fell upon him. But the messenger said to him, "Do not be afraid, Zechariah, for your prayer is heard, and your wife Elisheba," very important to remember his wife's name, Elisheba, "shall bear you a son, and you shall call his name Yochanan. And you shall have joy and gladness, and many shall rejoice at his birth. For he shall be great before Yahuah, and shall drink no wine and strong drink at all. And he shall be filled with the Ruach HaKodesh, even from his mother's womb. And he shall turn many of the children of Israel to Yahuah their Elohim. And he shall go before him in the spirit and power of Eliyahu, Elijah." And this is why Yahusha says, he calls him Elijah. He's in the Ruach of Elijah, Eliyahu. So to turn the hearts of the fathers to the children, and the disobedient to the inside of the righteous, to make ready a people prepared for Yahuah. So Yochanan was born to Zechariah, who is a priest from the division of Abiyah, and Elisheba, who was a relative of Miriam, the mother of Yahusha. Yochanan was also a descendant of Zadok, and by proxy, so was Miriam, meaning, so is Yahusha. So Ezekiel 44, 23 through 24. And they, speaking about the sons of Zadok, which we read in verse 15, are to teach my people between the Kodesh and the profane, and to make them know what is unclean and clean. And they are to stand as judges in a dispute, and judge it according to my right rulings. And they are to guard my Torah and my laws regarding all my appointed festivals, and Kodesh, my Sabbatos. This right here is Yahuah himself giving the sons of Zadok the authority to make all these distinguishes. Man, why can't I say that word? To distinguish between all of these things. The Kodesh, the profane, to be judges in a dispute, settling disputes about what? Well, the Kodesh, the profane, clean and unclean, and the laws, statutes, and commands in the appointed festivals and the Sabbaths. Judges in a dispute over the calendar. And then we have Luke 1:5. So there was in the days of Herod, the sovereign of Yehuda, a certain Kohen priest named Zechariah, of the division of Abiyah, and his wife was of the daughters of Aharon, and her name was Elisheba. Very key point right here. His wife was of the daughters of Aharon. Further down in Luke chapter 1, excuse me. So Luke 1:34 through 37. And Miriam said to the messenger, How shall this be, since I do not know a man? And the messenger answering said to her, The Ruach HaKodesh shall come upon you, and the power of the Most High shall overshadow you. And for that reason, the Kodesh one born of you shall be called Ben of Yahuah. We just read that who else was called Ben of Yahuah? Melchizedek. And this, very important here, and see, Elisheba, your relative, she has also conceived a son in her old age, Yochanan. And this is now the 6th month to her who was called barren, because with Elohim no matter shall be impossible. So we see right here, Yochanan and Yahusha were 6 months apart in age. This is why Yochanan preceded Yahusha, bringing in his coming. Not only that, we see Elisheba, who is Miriam's relative, who was of the daughters of Aharon, is the mother of Yahusha. Really fascinating stuff. So, looking at Miriam's family lineage, which is given in the account of Luke, we can see she is both from Aharon, as Luke 1:5 and 36 states above, from her mother's lineage, and from David, from her father's lineage. So there are 2 accounts of lineage of Yahusha recorded. The one is in Matthew 1, and the other is in Luke 3. I don't know why I have Luke there twice. Hold on, I need to fix that. Boom, fixed. Okay, so Matthew's genealogy traces the legal lineage of Yahusha, starting with Abraham, then through the kings of Yehuda, then through a line of royal descendants to Joseph. But Luke, however, traces Yahusha's bloodline from Miriam all the way back to Adam. So Matthew's account is from Joseph, Yahusha's earthly father, who was of the line of David. And the important detail to this is going to be at the end, verse 16. And I'll just read the important parts here. Yeah, lawful instead of legal. Actually, we're going to get into that too, because he lawful and legally, both aspects, he's of David. It's really fascinating. But for the entire lineage, it's Matthew 1 through 16. But it begins with the book of the genealogy of Yahusha HaMashiach, the Ben of David, Ben of Abraham. And it continues down through Abraham. And right here is an important verse here. From Yishai brought forth David, the sovereign. David, the sovereign, brought forth Shalomo. And then it continues off of Solomon right here. And continues down all the way until we get to verse 16. And it says, and Matan brought forth Jacob. And Jacob brought forth Joseph, the husband of Miriam, who was born Yahusha, who is called Mashiach. So a couple important things to notice here. So we see it was Jacob that brought forth Joseph, the specific wording bringing him forth, meaning his father. And he stems all the way from King David through Solomon, as we read right here. So while Luke's account is going to show us the lineage of Miriam, so through scripture, lineage is traced through the father's line. And we can see that with just this example in Matthew here. But every time you trace a lineage in scriptures, it's going through the fathers. It says son of, son of, son of. So Luke uses the phrase as reckoned by law, son of Joseph, which we're going to read here next, as a placeholder for Miriam, because lineage comes from the father's side in scripture. And since Yahusha did not come from an earthly father, Luke is referencing Miriam and her father, as Matthew just stated above that Joseph's father was named Jacob and not Eli. So, here in Luke 3:23, and when Yahusha himself began, he was about 30 years of age, the age to be a proper priest, being, as reckoned by law, son of Joseph, who is the son-in-law of Eli. Now, I added son-in-law in here because that's exactly what this means. So Luke traces Yahusha's lineage back through Nathan to King David, which we're going to read here in Luke 3:31 in a moment. Matthew traces it to David through King Solomon, which we just read above in 1:6. Both Solomon and Nathan were sons of the king through Bathsheba. They were sons of Solomon. David had 5 sons, with the first one unnamed, dying when he was only 7 days old, which is found in 2 Samuel 12:18. Then Solomon was David's second son, and Nathan his third, which can be found in 1 Chronicles 3:5. Why is this important? It is because it shows the distinction in the lineage of Miriam and Joseph, both coming from David. And Joseph being a descendant through the lineage of the father qualifies Yahusha from his mother and earthly father's side to be both king from David and high priest from Levi. That is Melchizedek. Oh, Toldot, sister, all praise to the Most High Yahuah. While studying this, it was just blowing my mind. And it started with the word search of branch of righteousness that led to all this. All right, so let's continue with the lineage in Luke. So Luke chapter 3, verses 24 through 38. So, you can read through the lineage if you like, but I'm going to go to the important parts of it. And again, we see son of, son of, son of. And then it comes down to Mattatah of Nathan, of David, of Yishai. So we see coming from David, who is the sovereign, because he's from Yishai. Miriam's lineage is coming from Nathan. And so all these first few chapters here, verses, are going to be different names than that of what we read in Matthew. And that's because it's a different lineage from David, from his third son, Nathan. And then it continues on all the way up to past Abraham, because we see Abraham here, going to Torah, all the way up to Adam of Yahuah. So Yahusha was not born of an earthly father. Luke's account of Miriam's lineage from both sides shows us not only her father's connection to David, but her mother's connection to Levi through Aharon. This qualifies Yahusha to be both king and high priest, and is his fulfillment of the promises made to both David and Yehoshua, who is from Aharon, that they will both reign on his throne forever. And we also see the account in Matthew shows us even his earthly father Joseph was a descendant of David. So since Yahusha was his son by law, as we read, as reckoned by law, he was a descendant of David by the law of men as well. Just what you said there, Brother Micah, lawful and legal. So this all lines up with what is written by the sons of Zadok in the Dead Sea Scrolls, further proving their validity. So there is many out there who try to deny the Dead Sea Scrolls and the sons of Zadok, or that the sons of Zadok even wrote the Dead Sea Scrolls. This is very untrue. It is absolutely the sons of Zadok who wrote the Dead Sea Scrolls. This is why they try so hard to discredit them. They label them Essene and call them crazy vegans in the desert and things like that, when they were not vegans at all. We've proven all this. They ate meat. They even did sacrifices there. But let me digress and continue here. So the community believed in the coming Messiah and described the Messiah from David and Aharon. So for example, the fragment 4Q58, which is a sort of apocalypse, refers to the destruction of the uncircumcised. Yep. And then speaks of someone who is anointed with the oil of the kingdom. 4Q458. 4Q246. He shall be called the Son of Elohim. Who else was called that? Melchizedek. And they will call him Son of the Most High. He will judge the earth in righteousness, and every nation will bow down to him. And with Elohim's help, he will make war, and Elohim will give all the people into his power. Then we have in the Damascus document, column 3, verse 17. The star is the interpreter of the law, who shall come to Damascus. So Qumran, they called that land Damascus. As it is written, a star shall come forth out of Jacob, and a scepter shall rise out of Israel. And that's Numbers 24:17. And then Damascus document, again, column 3, verse 21. And none of the men who enter the renewed covenant in the land of Damascus, again, Qumran, and who again betray it and depart from the fountain of the living waters, shall be reckoned with the counsel of the people or inscribed in its book from the day of the gathering in of the teacher of the community until the coming of the Mashiach out of Aharon and Israel. And then column 16, Damascus document, this is the exact statement of the statutes in which they shall walk until the coming of the Messiah of Aharon and Israel, who will pardon their iniquity. So this is not only giving validity to, they were predicting that Mashiach was coming, but, a lot of people question the couple things that they did there, like, oh, don't help your neighbor's ox out of a ditch and things. Well, they were only doing the best they could until Mashiach came, and they weren't imposing their laws and rules on anybody else. And they weren't saying it was Torah written in the Torah like the Pharisees would say. No, they simply said, these are the laws we're going to have until Messiah comes and corrects them. And he did. You got to read my write-up. Go into a lot of detail about it there. But let me continue. So the fascinating composition called 4Q246, which is popularly dubbed the Son of Elohim text. And there it is again, Son of Elohim, Melchizedek. And it is written in Aramaic and was copied late in the 1st century BC. So 3 immediate obvious parallels exist between phrases in this text and the messenger's annunciation to Miriam about her future son Yahusha, which is found in Luke's account, which we had read above. So this is 4Q246, column 1, verse 9. And he will be called the Great. This matches up with Luke 132. He will be called the Son of Elohim. 4Q246, column 2, verse 1. Matches up with Luke 135. And they will call him the Son of the Most High. 4Q246, column 2, again, column 1. So Luke 132. And 4Q285, labeled the Book of War. This poorly preserved Hebrew text originally gained attention because it was claimed that Fragment 7 supported the notion that some in the 1st century BC believed in a dying Messiah, which is a view not held in quote-unquote Jewish beliefs. They do not believe that at all. This is why they rejected him. But the Hebrew text includes the messianic title, Branch of David, Zamach of David. So 4Q285, column 7, verses 3 through 5. So this is the branch of David. Then all forces of Belial shall be judged, and the king of the Kittim shall stand for judgment, and the leader of the congregation, the branch of David, will have him put to death. Then all Israel shall come out with timbrels and dancers. And we see the mention of Kittim here, which we just saw mentioned in the book of Jubilees, the Torah portion there, who were cursed to, be destroyed on the day of judgment. We have that being spoken about right here in the Dead Sea Scrolls, exact same thing. And then 4Q521. This fragmentary Hebrew text, also copied in the 1st century BC, has been labeled the Messianic Apocalypse. It's because it describes a future Messianic age. Most relevant here is the enumeration of Messianic signs that are the same to those associated with the Messiah in the New Testament. So, for example, for the Qumran community, a coming Messiah will honor the pious among the throne of his eternal kingdom, setting prisoners free, opening the eyes of the blind, raising up those who are bowed down. For he shall heal the critically wounded, he shall revive the dead, he shall send good news to the afflicted, he shall satisfy the poor, he shall guide the uprooted, and he shall make the hungry rich. The reviver raises the dead of his people. Then we shall give thanks and relate to you the righteous acts of Yahuah, those destined to die, and he shall open the graves. So that was 4Q521, column 2, verses 4, column 4, verses 7 through 13. And fragment 7, column 5, verses 6 through 9. So several of these phrases are also found in Luke 4:16 through 21, which reports Messiah's reading from Isaiah 61, 1 through 2, and applying that prophecy to himself. See, the acceptable year of Yahuah, the year of release, the Jubilee. And the prophecy in Luke 7, which reports Messiah instructing Yohanan the Immerser's disciples about himself. So we have Luke 7:20 through 22. And coming to him, the men said, Yohanan the Immerser has sent us to you, saying, Are you the coming one? Or should we look for another? And in the same hour he healed many of the diseases and afflictions and wicked spirits, and he gave sight to many blind ones. And Yahusha answering said to them, Go, report to Yohanan what you have seen and heard. The blind receive sight, the lame walk, lepers are cleansed, the deaf hear, dead are raised, and the good news is brought to the poor. Luke's account, which is also in Matthew 11, 2 through 5, depicts Messiah as already demonstrating these capabilities mentioned in Isaiah 35, 5 through 6, and Isaiah 61, 1 through 2. So during his ministry, including restoring the dead to life, although the actual resurrection of the dead individuals had to wait until Messiah's own resurrection. So 4Q521 presents a Messiah doing the same things, because it is the same Messiah, it is the Messiah, including raising the dead, thus representing an additional witness to certain messianic expectations some had in Messiah's day, based on the prophecies we find in Scripture. So the Messiah described in the Dead Sea Scrolls is the same Messiah written about in all of Scripture, Yahusha, who is from David and Aharon. And, they try to use this to say, oh, look, there's two different Messiahs in the Dead Sea Scrolls to try to discredit them. No, it's because the one from David and Aharon are the same one. So there's no contradictions. There's no explaining away any discrepancies that don't actually exist, only in people's heads. So Scripture's answers Scripture. The sons of Zadok's writings all line up with what Scripture reads. even about the future coming of the Messiah Yahusha in their time. This only validates the Dead Sea Scrolls even more so. So Messiah is no doubt from Aharon and David, and this is how he is able to become both king and high priest of the Melchizedek priesthood forever. He fulfilled the promises made by Yahuah to both the line of David and the line of Aharon, that they will always have a son of their line sitting and ruling on his throne eternally. He is the Zamak of Zadok. And that is all. Thank you very much, Mishpacha. So, as we can see, Scripture just dives very much deeper into Melchizedek, showing us Yahusha not only from Zadok, but from Aharon, but from David as well. Tudah. All praise to the Most High Yahuah. And actually, I'll take this, I will copy and paste it into our tab, the Divinity tab we have in our library. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Truly, all praise to the Most High Yahuah. But yeah, I will copy this and I'll put it in our Divinity tab in our library group. That way you guys will have it to go and, reflect on and review and things like that as well. Oh, thank you, sister. Yeah, like I said, this all started with doing a word search on branch of righteousness. And then just the word Zamak, branch. That's where it led me to the verses in Zechariah there. And then right there in Jeremiah 33 as well. 33 verses 17 and 18. That same promise is made to David and Levi. And it's all right there in scriptures. And, I was thinking back, I was like, man, how did I miss all this before? But it's really all on Yahuwah's timing, and it's for a reason. And this all lines up with the calendar, with the nature of Yahuwah, with Mashiach being both king and high priest, Melchizedek. It shows that, Levi and David, they both were made a promise to have a person sitting on their throne eternally. Messiah is the fulfillment of that promise, and really amazing. And yeah, if you guys have any questions or anything you'd like to add, feel free. And then we got Sister
Jared.
Marissa. Oh, yeah, go ahead, brother.
Yeah, Jeremy, my eyes opened with, quite some time back on this when I read Zechariah 6. And and that was out of the KJV too, because there's some people saying, well, they were asking me, that's two thrones, isn't it? And I said, no, it's not two thrones. I see two crowns on the same person, So I got to studying that and just put a lot of other things together. And I'm 100% with you on this thing. This is just, you did a beautiful job of it. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, and that's it too. There's one throne, especially right there in Revelation, like Sister Marissa just mentioned. There's only one throne. There's one crown. So it's not two crowns. It's that same crown giving two different lines, because they are actually one person who is Mashiach.
Well, in 6:11 in Zechariah in the KJV, it says, then take silver and gold and make crowns, plural, and set them upon the head of Yeshua, or Yahusha, the son of Jehoshaphat, the high priest.
Interesting.
And
Here's
reading on there, and speak unto him, saying, Thus speaks Yahuah of hosts, saying, Behold, the man whose name is the branch, and he shall grow up out of his place. And that there's the word branch again. Now we know that was Yahusha. And so it went further, 6:13, even he shall build the temple of Yahuah, and he shall bear the glory and shall sit and rule upon his throne, singular, and he shall be a priest upon his throne, and the council of peace shall be between them both crowns, in other words, was what I was looking at that time.
how I understood that was the council between the king and priest, like meaning both of them together. That's how I took that. But yeah, no, very interesting. Yeah,
Well,
it's
we came to the same conclusion on the thing,
That's one thing that John and I had noticed, is that up until Yahusha, Yahuah sends people out two by two, right? To fulfill both the rulership, the king part and the priesthood part. For example, like, you have Hezekiah and Ezra, right? And, one is coming back as the priest, one's coming back as, the king. When he sent out Moshe and Aharon, you have Moshe, being the overseer, and Aharon, fulfilling the priesthood part. Then also when you take a look at Yahusha's fulfillment, his dual fulfillment of it, right? Yeah, like you were saying, that it had to come from both of those, the kingship bloodline as well as the priestly bloodline is what it had to come down to. And then even when you look at the name Melchizedek, that means, king of righteousness, and of course we know that the Zadok is the same Zadok as the priesthood, right? So right there, even within the name, you have the kingship and the priesthood together.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And this is how we see why he was qualified to be both king and high priest, and I love it. And
Yeah.
it's exactly what we just read in the Dead Sea Scrolls too. And it still blows my mind, honestly. All praise to the Most High Yahuah. And it blows my mind that, this is not something that's mentioned or spoken about very much at all. Not many people actually make these connections. And like Natalie says, he has so many roles and such confirmation that they are echad. They are one. And he is ordained by both David and Aharon to be king and high priest, just like the Dead Sea Scrolls say, which validates the Dead Sea Scrolls even more so. There's so many people that want to question the Dead Sea Scrolls and question that, oh, was it even the sons of Zadok who wrote them? Well, yes, absolutely. When we read them and we study them and see that all these things line up right with what scriptures say, like you can't deny it. It's really amazing. And all praise to the Most High Yahuah.
Yeah, thanks, Jeremy. That's a really, really good study. Something that I picked up was in the Dead Sea Scrolls when they're talking about there'll be someone that come along that heal the blind, heal the lame, but also release the prisoners. And as far as I can see, there wasn't very many prisoners released during Yeshua's time, except Barabbas. But further on, past his resurrection, you see that Paul was released from the prison, and it just confirms to me that they were looking at that sort of time where he would return and the Millennium Kingdom would have been sort of set up. So we're not looking up to his time of death and resurrection, but actually the time of his return, with some of these sort of documentations.
Yeah, exactly. And that's actually a write-up I'm working on next is, these offerings and things that were going on in the Millennial Kingdom, in the temple there, and the things that are still going on right now because heaven and earth have not been remade yet. So because there's still sin, some of these things still have to go on, like the peace offerings and things like that. Just everything around, like the sin and atonement offerings and things like that. That's what Yahusha was for us. But the regular ones still have to go on. And actually, as a matter of fact, it does speak about these sin offerings and things like that being offered in the millennial temple as it's like as a memorial to Yahusha himself being offered for that. So I'm still working on that, but I got a bunch of notes together for that with scriptures. And actually, Sister Marissa, if you're still here,
I
well,
have a
if
quick
there's,
I have a quick question.
yeah, go ahead.
So we're catching up on our Jubilees and stuff like that. And so we're reading through things and kind of like in my mind, right, we want to do as many things. We want to imitate as many things out of, the old covenant as possible with the understanding that there were some things fulfilled by Yahusha, right? But so one thing that I have a huge question on my heart about is like, okay, so you know how like there's just like free will offerings and like peace offerings and just things like that. And so we haven't really gotten into the place where we're on a regular basis, processing our own meat, right? But in the future, it's like, is that something like, I mean, we kind of already have our Pesach thing down, but like on a regular basis, what is your view? What is you guys' view on, how, okay, so like when we were reading, okay, Abraham, after he what just happened? Sorry, let me gather my thoughts really quick. They did their first tabernacles, but there was something else that he did and I forgot what it was that he threw like that he was really happy about it. Jeez, I forgot what it was. Anyway, he slaughtered some animals, right, on his altar. And I see throughout the Old Testament. Okay, is there any reason why I'm sorry, I'm not just getting to the point of things. Is there any reason why if us as people are going to kill some animals to eat that we would not have an altar to do it on?
Well, that would be, the difference between an offering and slaughtering something to eat. So,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
that's my thoughts about that. So there's offerings and things like that, which, the
And
priests were.
we don't have to do we don't do offerings anymore because of Yahusha.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
The slaughtering to eat for a meal and things like that is totally different than a sacrifice or offering. So,
Okay. Gotcha.
yeah.
So no more
So,
altar. So no more altar is what you're saying.
correct. Because that's going on in the millennial temple, in the
Right.
heavenly temple. And, so all the laws, statutes, and commands that are around all these different offerings and things like that,
Yeah.
we still observe, but the offerings themselves, we don't have to do because it's already being
Right.
done for us.
Right. Like I know I understand like the sin offering, we don't have to do that kind of stuff, but let's just say, okay, for example, let's say, okay, it's time to process, an animal, and we're thankful for that, and we're doing it unto Yahuah. right? Is there anywhere that specifically shows that, hey, this is how you say, hey, thank you, to the Yahuah, and you're doing it to him, not as a ritual, not as like a sin offering, but as in the correct way to do it thankfully.
I know for the Passover, it's got very specific instructions, but
Right.
as for everything else, I mean, he knows our hearts. So if not that we're doing an offering to him, but it's
Right.
because of him that these are provided for us and things like that.
Yeah.
That's how I feel it.
Yeah.
And I think Natalie has got something to say here too in the chat. See what you're talking about? Like Samson's parents offered a free will offering, and these weren't done under the Levitical priests.
Right. That's what I'm talking about. Kind of like a free will, like thank you, like burn some. But I know that our prayers, right, are the sweet fragrance to him now.
Yeah, correct.
But he likes the fat too, Is there anything wrong with burning fat to him?
I mean, I guess not.
If he
Even if he
likes
does,
it and he thinks it smells good, then
I mean, he tells us not to eat that specific
yeah,
fat too. So, I mean, it's not something we're going to be eating. So,
yeah.
I think it would be okay to burn for sure. And that's something too. Like,
I don't know. It's like, okay, for example, like if you have a spouse, right? You try to think of like little things to make them happy. I'm not trying to do this like out of like, oh, I need to, follow this, strictly like this, but like, okay, if that's something that he likes, then maybe I could do that for him. But I do know that it also says that obedience is better than sacrifice. So,
well, that verse in itself, a lot of people misunderstand, and it's because he offers obedience, or sorry, he wants obedience rather than sacrifices.
right. If
Because
you're running around doing naughty stuff on purpose, then just like trying
yeah,
to burn it up and, please forgive me type real quick. Yeah.
exactly, you got it. Yeah. So had they actually repented and turned from their sin, they wouldn't have had to offer those offerings and sacrifices for the sin. So
Yeah.
that's really what the context of that's about. But
Gotcha.
yeah, it
But
goes
but
pretty
so is
deep.
there anything in there that says, okay, because I have read one where it says, okay, there's a special there's like a special combination of incense that you're not supposed to do because that's only for like a very like only for like someone's like I think a priest or something to do or someone.
Holy oil to anoint the altar and the priest and the furniture and everything. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, there was one really special combination of things that you're not supposed to do, but other than that, I don't, like I said, it's like if it's something that I know that I've read in there that says, "Oh, he loves that and it smells really good to him." It's like, "Okay, well, why can't I do that and make it smell good to him?"
Yeah, exactly. That's what is, between you and the Father, honestly. And if he
Yeah.
puts it on you to do that, then it's all good. Because
Yeah.
yeah, barbecue and pray. That's what Natalie said.
Yeah.
But, but yeah, it's if you feel led to do something, Yahuwah has led you to do that, then, by all means, it's between you and Yahuwah.
Yeah.
So
I was just wondering if there was anywhere that you had known that it said not to do that or something.
yeah, the only place is like you said when it talks about that oil, that specific blend of oil, like not to make that. Anything
Yeah.
around that, sure. And you can use those ingredients that are used in that specific blend, just not all at the same time.
Gotcha.
The
Yes,
offerings,
no special oils. Yeah.
yeah. And yeah, we see offerings and things like that. It's all throughout Scripture. So
Hmm. I guess I never thought about that, but it kind of came through my mind.
yeah. And interesting enough, I've been accused of doing these offerings and sacrifices and things like that by one person, when I literally told them the opposite, like, no, we don't do those things anymore. And
Right. I'm sure that a lot of people, not a lot of people, but some people do look at a, Passover like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's the thing too. They think the Passover lamb is like an offering or something like
Uh-uh.
that, and it's not.
No.
It's not at all. There were offerings made on the Passover, yes, but the Passover lamb itself, it's never commanded or shown as any kind of offering or sacrifice at all. It's a meal with Yahuah is what it is. Yeah, I mean, if that's how you feel, Sumi, that's between you and Yahuah. Because we do see these things are going on in the heavenly tabernacle. That's my thoughts on it. But yeah, if you feel led to do so, that's between you and Yahuah, 100%. All right. So let's see how much time we got here. We're at almost 3 hours. We barely got an hour left in the recording anyway. Um, maybe I'll stop this recording and start another one, and then we can get into what Sister Marissa wanted to present, and then also Sister Jermaine's reading of Psalms and Sirach as well. So yeah, give me just a moment. Let me get a new recording started here so we don't get cut off.